Hello everybody and welcome to GRC Season 13 Trophy Race. Oh yes, like a wife, it's long and hard and we get to do extra time with it. Today we're here at the Donington Park circuit for what could be a new era for GRC pretty much, because it's all new style of cars and everything. You've got it, we've changed it. Apart from the fact that we've got the same old crowd back for the same old tricks. Today's trophy race is 38 laps around the Donington circuit. It's the full circuit. We don't turn off at the end of the national version. We are going down to the chicane. It's the chicane. Melbourne hairpin, rather. Slap myself. Need a sat nav. This could be why I don't do very well. Still staying with Super Pole, of course, but as you'll notice when the cars go out on track, very different kettle of fish here today, because we are racing GT3 cars to give this good a test out before we potentially take them up for season 14, which I've heard by a whispery squirrel will be coming some point around November. Now, in this GT3 mod, up to 19 cars are readily available, although we're only going to see a few of them here today. We've got Alpinas, Aston Martins, Vantages and DVRs, Audi R8s, BMW Z4s, Chevrolet Camaro, Corvettes, Dodge Vipers, Ferraris, 430 and the 458, Ford GT, Jaguar, Lambo, Token Lotus I've seen kicking about somewhere as well, a couple of old Mercedes, an SLS and an MP4, 12, Nissan and Porsche Shelby as well to round it out. And I think pretty much everything is out there. The only thing I've not seen is a Shelby. So we should get to see exactly what each car's about. Each car's got its own strength and weakness, of course, although they have the same base physics to start off with, because some are front-engined, some are mid-engined, and some are rear-engined. We'll be seeing a little mini advantage going on across the whole field. A few people just getting themselves sorted out, leaving and rejoining. So yes, of course, front engine cars, which were my personal preference. A bit faster in a straight line, a bit more dogged around some of the corners, whereas the rear ends driven cars are a little bit nose happy sometimes. Whereas the mid-ranged or mid-engined cars are a little bit more grippier, but lacking that general panache down a straight. Of course, never doing this alone. I've got Simon Melhuish here on cameras, being a cameraman extraordinaire. This mod may be the one that we'll be definitely taking, because it's not very often that I see him out on track crashing into everyone else, but he was having a jolly good time in practice, putting in some decent lap times too. So obviously this mod proving popular, and with a 33 driver sign up and pretty much everyone here, hopefully this will be a good new mini era while we wait for R Factor 2 to get itself up to a broadcastable league standard. We can set that out everywhere. Now, Simon's also our race admin here today. Just going through the driver's briefing before we move forward to the Super Pole qualifying session, where everyone has one lap to give it their all around this Donington circuit. Donington, of course, famous for being able to chuck you offline at the best opportunities, and this version of Donington has got the what I call the sticky fried ice version, and I've been caught up in that many a time before. I remember in a D2 race being punted out of 7th position, going side by side with someone who was trying to go around the outside of me around the Craner curves. It didn't end up well for me. Rejoined a lap later. Found my way round everywhere. It's great. So very much punishing, but if you keep your foot in, you can get back out again, back to the pits, repair your car and get going. Qualifying, of course, will be key, although we are going to be having a long race, so there's always a chance to get yourself back again. Pit stops aren't mandatory, but it is so tight with the fuel, I've been told, that only crazy people or people who have driven conservatively would probably risk it. So we'll be sorting that out. We're just having a server issue. We'll be back with live pictures for a second. But of course, you can come and join in and be interactive with me. I've got the old simrace.tv chat room. We're in stream 1 where we've got Kamikaze, James Kirk and Carl Williams all in there, giving it banter, giving it large. Why not? You can also tweet me at @Satoriumon. And of course, this is all a good advert for when we get going again for season 14, which you can join up by clicking at rfgrc.co.uk. Get yourself signed up. Plenty of other stuff going on as well. There's endurance races kicking off. We've got a few cups, I believe, getting scheduled to get going too. And it's not just our factor we use. We've got Game Stock Car kicking about there too. And I'm sure if there's enough call for it, other games can be used too. So Kamikaze just saying mini challenge cup, maybe. I remember when we done a mini cup, I was quite good at those, especially good at rolling them. So pretty upside down. Sonic Sega Racing, says James Kirk. This is sim racing. I love the Sonic Sega Racing game, but alas, I think we may be on our own in that one. But yeah, of course, F1 2012 coming out next month. Suspiciously, very little footage out about that game so far. Probably trying to mask the fact that it's yet another yearly update from the previous one, and maybe not a lot's changed. We shall see. But yeah, an exciting time really if you're a sim racer, because there's plenty out there to get yourself going. Yeah, just to reply to Marvin, yes, the server is currently offline just while we get things sorted out. Should be up and running again within the next minute or two. What have I been up to? What's anyone been up to on this bank holiday weekend? I've been busy having a row with my bank because they refuse to let me spend my money. Disgrace. That's kind of stopped me being able. I was planning to go to Notting Hill Carnival just so I could eat some reggae sauce. No. But and look at ladies with no clothes on, in the name of art, of course, and celebration. Maybe a couple of old blokes, although to be fair, you go around any back bush, you'll see that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I was denied, access denied. And then Amazon sent me, I was trying to buy something off Amazon, and they've sent me an email saying, I'm sorry, we've not been able to process your order, but your card's been declined and cancelled. And it was an MP3 album order, but it let me download the album. I was like, result, free things. So I've just tried it again. Unfortunately, it didn't work this time. Otherwise, I had found my way in to just download everything in the world for nothing. That would have been great. Apart from that, lazy bank holiday. I tell you what I have been doing though. I've been reading through. I've got Murray Walker's F1 review books that ran from like 1986 to 1996. And I like reading the things where he predicts what's going to happen in the following year. And I was reading the 1994 one, where he says about stars and potential world champions of the future. I may even grab the book to quote it, but it does say, dum dum dum, that Rubens Barrichello and David Coulthard are future world champions in the making. And then it says, and surprisingly, you have to think of this the same way as Ukyo Katayama. Oh, I love little Ukyo. His little bobbing head. And he did have a very good 1994. Before he then had cancer in the back and couldn't compete properly for 95 and 96 and got dropped by Tyrrell. But yeah, it's I love those little observations. And in the 1993 one, it says about how he was one of the most impressive people of the year was Luca Badoer. Look how that one turned out. Poor guy. I love looking back at people's predictions, but it's namely my own as well, to just see how far off we were. Goes to prove in Formula 1, and with anything really, when you're an expert. It's yeah, there's no particular rhyme or reason sometimes, and an expert has about as much knowledge as you and I. Would you like to know what happened to Ukyo Katayama, says Kamikaze? Well, he went into mountain climbing, didn't he? And he climbed Everest, and then lots of people died on his expedition. I remember that. And somehow he managed to come back down again. But yeah, he went off to do lots and lots of stuff and go off into GT stuff. But then I remember other drivers that have absolutely failed at the top echelon of the sport. Jean-Denis Delatraz and Giovanni Lavaggi, two of the ultimate pay drivers of all time. They were like me, sim racing style in real life, and they actually have quite a good rep in GT racing. So who knows? Who knows? It's all about right place, right time. Aside from that, we've spoilt for choice, game-wise, for things that are coming out for sim racing, as I just touched on a bit earlier. We've got F1 2012 coming out. As ever, Project Cars constantly getting updated here and there. I was speaking with a fellow sim team owner, or previous team owner, about a game called Automation that's coming out, which actually lets you become like a manager of things. And he was selling me on it, and I really now want to get it. It's on my list to get at some point this week. It's like building your own engines and stuff, isn't it? Where you build things up. So Mr. Millwish talking in my ear. I knew what I meant to say. Yeah, you basically run a car company. Doesn't it that you then start to say like you can build an engine for a racing team? Although you can't actually say that it's Formula 1, or isn't that something that's planned? Because it's kind of constantly sprawling and opening up, isn't it? If I remember rightly. But yeah, very good. And it sounds awesome, so I'm going to be picking that up at some point. What else have we got going on? F1 Race Stars. Mario Kart plus F1. Surely you should just let Massa, Hamilton and Maldonado out and about. That'll do the same thing. Suspicious lack of biking games coming out this year as well, actually, to be fair. There's only the SBX one coming out. Bike games never really took off. They should do a new tourist trophy. They made a game called Super Maldonado Racing. I think they might as well just rebrand Snuggle Truck. So we're just waiting for the server to get itself back online and routed again. Shouldn't take too much longer. We can get the show on the road. Incidentally, I'll be very interested to see what or hear about people's rigs and exactly what they have to drive with. Very interested looking at some people's pictures on Facebook of what they own. They're like triple screens and everything like that. Makes me, with my little 15-inch monitor and an Xbox controller, looking a little bit primitive. And just while I'm on air, I might as well do an own plug for myself. Please go to Facebook and like Satorimon if you like miserable music. That's mine. New album coming out October. Support your commentators. If you don't like commentators, I'm sorry, I haven't got any posh royals. No Prince Edwards or King Edwards here, I'm afraid. Just commentators. Ba-boom. Thank you very much for staying with us, just while we sort out some server dramas. So a quick run through of everything just again then, just while we sort out everything. Qualifying is a 10-minute qualifying session with just one flying lap for our up to 33 drivers to take part in doing. So just really a one-chance saloon. Then it's a 150-kilometre race following that, which equates to 38 laps. Pit stops are not required, however, I would say that they're generally advised because the fuel is very, very, very tight. The big thing with this mod, apart from being GT3 cars, is that these also will have boost settings available, and you've got 1, 2 and 3. Obviously the lowest boost setting will not take up quite so much fuel and not stress the engine maybe as much, but you won't necessarily get all of the horsepower out of it that you require until progress is being made on the server. By the jumping up and down of joy I can hear in the background from our Mr. Octopus himself. And yeah, you choose your boost setting to exactly how safe you want to play it, and also how much fuel consumption you really want to have as well. I always used to go for a under boost because I was always paranoid in long distance races that actually boosts would blow everything up. I do remember actually the very first sim racings that I done, no one told me what the boost setting was, and I lasted about 25 laps in this open wheeling F1 styled race, and I promptly blew up to a halt. I was still so excited that I hadn't crashed after 20 laps. I didn't care, but I was soon told afterwards exactly what boost meant, so let's hope people don't do that. So, with the server up, and just getting back going again, let's just see what's going on as I get my eyes back for the qualifying session. We are off and away with 8 minutes left to go. So we're watching Martin Jones, who's currently in the Union Motorsports car. Out of the final S's to start his qualifying lap. So taking a lap around the Donington circuit down into Redgate for turn 1. Deceptively dodgy, that one. That outside curve can certainly kick you back off in again, as I've seen several drivers doing practice around the Hollywood curves into the Craner curves. Such an iconic section of track, such an iconic slide there by Martin Jones coming into the second half of that lot. Very, very tricky indeed. And right the way up to the very top. Again, because it's uphill, you can attack that braking zone right to the maximum. Until it cleans. Coppice. Down the old straight into the old Fogarty S's. Again, curbs that can bite you back if you take too much from them. Very, very, very easy to do. And, Jimmy Jernstrom for JJ Motorsports making his GRC debut sets the current time at 1:32.320. It's out the Melbourne hairpin. Comes Martin Jones into the final hairpin himself. He's got Maspero up ahead, but I don't think he'll be a problem as Hardwick and Brewster take 1 and 2 at the moment. With Torrent and TSA, and Whoopke Hoekstra now lowers the provisional time. Martin Jones crosses over. He goes third with a 1:31.511. 6 tenths down on Whoopke Hoekstra's Slipstream Racing Cookie Monster team, who's running in the Audi. But that was a quick shot of the Corvette and exactly how they do things around this circuit. Aaron Maspero in the McLaren going round, and that is the very hot yellow, is all I will say for that. It's like Coleman's mustard has gone mated with American mustard. Came up with some new deli sauce that we all want to roll in. Again, just coming through into Coppice. Down the back straight, it's not looking too bad for the McLaren. Jimmy Jernstrom needs to learn the manners of not talking in a qualifying area. Now you can see a different line completely through the S's. Doing a bump and grind, but it's working for him. He's 8 tenths up on Hoekstra with 1 sector still to go. Hugging the apex nicely there from Maspero. Melbourne. Coming around the final corner into Wheatcroft. Let's see what he does. I always find it very difficult to get the power down at the right time out of that final curve. Across the line he goes into a clear provisional pole by 0.8 of a second, not breaking the 130 barrier, 22,000 sessions out. But yeah, his car billowing a lot of smoke out of different places. That car may not last long, either with tyres or with engine, not quite sure. So it's Maspero, Hope Stewart, Hardwick, Jones, Brewster, Robertson and Jernstrom are 7 so far. Paul Joseph has binned his lap in the Audi and will not complete one. So that won't work. Scott Bennett we've got on our screens. He's an independent for the Dodge Viper car. That's looking quite nice too as Miles Dixon pops into 4th. And Writers Reigns goes 6th in the Mustang. And Bennett, that car looking a little bit nose happy and a bit oversteery as he comes through one of the corners. Glenn Guest in his debut goes 2nd there. Good stuff there for Slipstream Racing. Not heard of that name before. Maybe we'll be hearing a lot more of it by the end of this race. But Bennett, not related to Gordon. And he does not trouble the inside corner of that. A little bit wobbly on the exit. He's driving the balls off the Dodge. He's only 9 thousandths down. So oh dearie me, that's not the apex. Unfortunately, I think 9 thousandths will maybe become more like 9/10, if not a wee bit worse. Oh, and he's broke on the grass into the final curve. God knows how he scrunched that one up together. Losing concentration and momentum in the final 2 hairpins. A lot of people say that they struggle with that. Amazingly, just a 10th down. Jesus, Jiminy Cricket, Scott Bennett there. That'll be a missed opportunity, 2nd position. He'll feel that he could do better. James Ross and Marvin Amance go 12th and 13th, the 2 slowest so far. And who else have we got out and about? Dave Carr-Smith for Torrent Motorsport Osiris, figuring relatively high in the practice sessions. And yeah, this Mercedes looking a wee bit angry over the curbs and around some of the corners. I think it's one of those that once you've harnessed the way how to drive this car, it could potentially be one of the quicker ones out there, but it's one of those that has a specific driving style that you need to attack it with. And the same can be said for quite a lot of these cars. There's no particular easy peasy ones, although I find the front wheel drive ones a little bit, or the front engined ones a little bit easier. Carr-Smith ringing of death around the apex, and that only gives him 5th, 7/10 down. Good TMO Osiris driver, and that won't work for him at all. I saw someone else just cross over behind him, Paul Gardner for the Lotus, and the single Lotus goes 15th. Who else is out and about? I can see one of the Murus is going, as is Martin Palm actually, our winner. Let's see who will take. So our champion, 5 thousandths up. I like that livery. It's quite nifty. A good transposition over as Lee McLaughlin goes 4th for the TSA Dirt Racing team. That's amazing stuff for the Aston. Well done to Lee. Martin Palm picking up dust out of the final corner. What will the champion do as his first race as a champion for GRC? Reino Muru has just left the game and he was on his hot lap. So I don't know if he crossed the line before he left the game, but that's drama if he didn't. Martin Palm goes pole then. First man to break the 130 bracket, a 129.799. That will do nicely for Martin. What can the rest of the competition bring? Peter Kaza is out and about on the Dodge Viper, and he was top in the practice sessions, and he has looked like someone who's been glued to the road, although that was a mini lock-up there and he's run right the way out to the edge of the curbs. Just about keeps it all together. Ryan Walker goes 8th, and someone disqualified themselves. Lucas Gebrulaskis has just disqualified himself from what was 8th position, so that won't help him at all. But Peter Kaza's got to put this all beside him and keep on plugging, as indeed he has done throughout the whole practice sessions. Down the back straight. What can you do in the final third of this lap? 6 thousandths up, all to play for. He took the curbs nicely, a little bit bouncy maybe, but he's trying to take the line of least resistance. very, very edible on the curves. There's one more corner left to go. Just Frith and Spoljaric really out and about, may be able to do anything, and Baselis is out doing a lap too. Out from the final curves then for Casa, and that's pole. Half a second, an excellent final sector there. That will do very nicely indeed. A couple of other drivers may have a half a go at looking at it, although Nick Rowland has just kicked up some dust, so that won't help him at all. And Borna Spoljaric's got problems there because that engine puffing up smoke. Who's got the wrong boost setting on, perhaps? Who knows? But Spoljaric, very little in the old practice sessions, and spent a lot of it on the grass. So who knows? He's driving the Aston Martin DBR. But if that car's smoking now, just in qualifying, and they are starting with race fuel, of course, who on earth knows how long that car will go in the race? But fall from the grid 700ths behind, that won't help. Nick Rowland goes 12th after his mini off-track excursion, 1.7 off the pace. Baselis has not completed his lap, and Boy Vanderlaar did not take to qualifying. I know, I did hear him in the chat room say that he was going to probably miss it. So yeah, what a bizarre end to the qualifying session. But Peter Casa by half a second, pole position. Martin Palm second, Aaron Maspero an excellent third, Spoljaric fourth, Scott Bennett a great fifth ahead of Glenn Guest on debut sixth, Lee McLaughlin a superb seventh, Dave Carr-Smith eighth, Whoopke Hoekstra 9, Ryan Walker in the top 10 for Union, then Hardwick, Rowland, Dixon, Jones, Rains, Brewster, Robertson, Jernstrom, Frith and Ross, then Gardner and Amantz, with then our problematical Muru, La, Joseph, Baselis and Gabriel Askus, all failing to set times. It's a close one. I think, yeah, everyone has got round, done their lap. So I'll move forward to the old quali. So hopefully those people that have used Boost 3 in qualifying will remember to reduce it down to Boost 1 for the race, because that will not help them at all. Those who like the stats, the only thing that's allowed is auto clutch. Damage is set at 100%. Those barriers will be coming at you quite hard. Fuel usage is normal, of course. It's a standing start. And race time will be at 2 PM. So the cars are getting one final chance to run around and sort themselves out. Martina Sidnovus and Ilja Bracalo. I don't see Ilja set a time. Yeah, Ilja Bracalo and Martina Sidnovus have just entered into the chat room. Sidnovus did certainly not enter a time. So that's a couple of newbies. So A lot of people, I think, will be using this as a good test before the start of the season, if this is what we are going to be using. Of course, this is good for us to use it as a test as well. See exactly how much of a chance there is of this being used as a mod. We here at GRC do like to try out new things. And you can try us out, of course. rfgrc.co.uk, sign yourselves up. Go on, I dare ya. If you're just watching the broadcast now, you can pop into the chat room at simrace.tv. We're in stream 1, where we're talking about the year when Sega sponsored Donington for the European Grand Prix. Do you remember that? Little plush Sonics running around. Absolutely tipped it down, didn't it? So British. I personally think someone should make a shopping trolley mod. That'd be awesome. So we're just going to be advancing. Best of luck to everyone in this Enduro Trophy race for GRC Season 12. Apologies for the slight delay that we're running a wee bit behind. Unfortunately, technologicalness can get the better of us. Hello Ehab, nice to see you with us in the chat room. You can't drive with us today, at least you've grabbed a cold beverage and joined us.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
So the famous R-Factor man. I wonder if the person who made that actually knows how iconic that has become. I wonder if it's a community member, or if they never know how much everyone has heard that man's voice. Anyway, we're all coming to the grid. Best of luck to everyone. Let's hope. Oh, Lucas Gabrielaskis has already left the game. One down already. Lucas got an error, according to Titus. So, we're off the formation lap. Can't see. Oh, Peter Kaza's not joined either. Peter Kaza from the pit has not got going, so Martin Palm effectively becomes pole position. Dramas already, but we've not even got going. Oh my goodness me. Martin Palm then starts from what is now effectively pole. Maspero will be alongside. Then we've got Borna Spogliaric and Scott Bennett. 4 very different cars in the top 4 positions. Then Glenn Guest making his debut for Slipstream. And then Lee McLaughlin. Dave Carr-Smith is in 8th position, then Whoopke Hoekstra will be 9, although it's effectively come up to 8th, and Hoekstra's not taken to the grid as well. What on earth is going on? I think people have fallen asleep. Ryan Walker then will effectively be 8th on the grid. Hardwick will be 9th on the grid. Nick Rowland will be 10th. Reinu Muru 11 for TTFR, so he did complete a lap before he disconnected. Then Miles Dixon and Martin Jones for Union Motorsports. Writers Reigns is an independent in the Mustang, ahead of Cameron Brewster in the McLaren for 6th Axis Racing. Dave Robertson for Team Core, the sole Team Core here today. Jimmy Jernstrom making his debut for JJ Motorsports, good luck to you sir. Tyrone Frith for TTF. James Ross from Mustang, apparently he's making his TSA debut. Paul Gardner for Team Lotus, bigging up the Lotuses, he's been looking particularly stronger than of late so far. Then Marvin Amance for Pro Speed, that's a new team name. Titus Bucelis for Intrepid Racing. Paul Joseph. Union Motorsports. Sergio Bracalo at the back there, unable to get a qualifying lap in. Neither did Martina Sidnovas. and Boy Vandelar. And who's that spinning? It's Titus Bucelis in 24th. So yeah, Intrepid Racing's Bucelis off the track. Now let's see. Yeah, Hoekstra's already got down to the end of the pit lane. Casa is still sitting there. He needs to get going, or is Casa actually going to end up not being able to start this race at all? Got to be careful. My goodness me, so much going on already as the field lines up. I think as yeah, who was that? Oh, Oscar Hardwick too had spun on the formation lap. What on earth is going on? It's become some kind of bizarre amateur league. So Casso is not taking the start. He's sitting in the garage. I don't know what's happened. So Palmer is then. It's going to be leading us off from this trophy round here at Donington Park. 38 laps of high octane action begins. And Palms away. Maspero bogs down and Spogliaric's already through as the trio pull well away from Bennett, who moves up behind. And then behind Oscar Hardwick's already on the grass, and we've got to turn one. That's going to be carnage potentially, and someone's peeling right off into the barriers. It's Tyrone Frith in the barriers down in 25th position. Boy Vandelar's off facing the wrong way too. So problems there for Frith. Bracalo off as well, and Vandelar, and I think Frith may well be a retirement. Casa has now joined the end of the pit lane, as has Hoekstra, and those two are now off and away, but it is Palm leading from Spogliaric, Maspero, Bennett, Carsmith and Rowland. And who's that off? It's Boy Vandelar, it's Marvin Amantz. James Ross in 24th position is off too, and he collected Amantz, and the two of them basically out, well not out, but in trouble. And that started when Marvin Amantz went off the track, spun across, and then didn't collect James Ross, but there was contact between the two, and that's what pushed them both off. Jernstrom's now off the track as well, as it's all becoming a wee bit too much for some of these drivers. Kasser and Hoekstra have got going again. Frith is limping around in a car that needs to be retired, but I don't think he'll want to, as the field work their way through some of the cranes. And I can see Bucelis off the track in 20th, but it is Palm leading from Spogliaric, Maspero, Bennett, Carsmith, Rowland, Walker, then Hardwick, Muru. Glenn Guest rounds out your top 10 ahead of Martin Jones, and then the rest of the field all kicking off behind. And yeah, there's some real drama going on. Tyrone Frith, our first official retirement, officially with an engine failure, but that was a bang into the barriers as they just ran out of road. So lap one completed, and it's Palm from Spogliaric and Maspero, your top three. Then a big old gap back to Scott Bennett, who's got Dave Carsmith all over the back of him. Dodge versus Mercedes. Dodge looking a wee bit dodge on the exit of that corner, to be fair, and Carsmith at the back of it as Maspero kicks up dust. And what is Carsmith doing? Sometimes taking the line of least resistance involves actually having to stay on the black stuff, Carsmith, and that's not quite worked out for him at the moment. Scenic Rowland bearing down in 6th. Excellent start from Ryan Walker to get himself up to 7 ahead of Hardwick, Muru and Guest. And Guest has got Jones and Wrightus Reigns behind him as well, looking good in the Mustang. And that's Sid Novus having a go at Robertson for 14 and 15 position, and he's going to push Robertson round in a beautifully levered team core, and Sid Novus practically mounts the curb and gives it a little bit of belly loving. And behind him we've got Brewster, Gardner, Vandelar already up to 18th position, and hassling Paul Gardner, Jernstrom, and then Joseph and Bucelis and Bracalo. So yeah, those people, as Marvin Avance is in the pits for Pro Speed after his lap 1 drama. And who's that off? That is Dixon. No, it's Muru. Randy Muru, 15th position, now 16. He's lost it into the final chicane by the looks of it. And he smacked the back. Under braking, he smacked the back of Oscar Hardwick. Round he goes in the old hairpin. Reino Muru has retired. Hardwick's got no rear wing. That is going to be a long old job. And look at the way he's desperately trying to get round. Bucelis having a go to try and get round for his 19th and 20th position. As Hardwick going into the final corner, can he brake? Ooh, a wee bit of a old squiggle-a-roo around. He's got a cut between Bracalo and Joseph for the pits. Indeed he does. And he is in. But my goodness me, this is becoming a destruction derby already. Still, Palm leads Spogliaric by 6 tenths. They're dropping Maspero, who's all on his own. Bennett has still got Carsmith and Rowland behind him. And Dave Carsmith is now actually more under pressure from Rowland and Walker than anything else. There's changes going on. Lee McLaughlin. Oh, it's Glenn Guest who's facing the wrong way. He's just rejoined in 14th position. I believe that was contact with Miles Dixon, who's missing a part of the car. So yeah, Dixon and Guest have had some problems. Yeah, well, not good at all there for Glenn on debut, having dramas. However, soldiering on they will, as who's that changing position? Right as Reigns passing Martin Jones for 8th position. Nice and clean move. Not seen many of them so far, but he's through. Oh, and Walker and Rowland for 6th and 7th. Walker having a go down the inside of Rowland. Side by side on the exit. Rowland hangs it on round the outside and keeps the position. We've lost Il Gibricalo. He has crashed out, I believe. Oh, no, he hasn't. He's just lagged out and retired. So Il Gibricalo there, a drama there for him. As Rowland keeps hold of Walker, but Reigns and Jones are side by side out the final corner again for 8th and 9th positions as Dave Carr-Smith is in the pits. So drama for Carr-Smith. We'll see what's happened to him because that's a very early stop, unless he's planning to tank up with fuel and go all the way to the end so early on. But Reigns, oh my goodness me, you need to pull the reins in on that car. My goodness me, the independent Mustang driver really struggling to keep to grips as they get round these tight curves up into the old hairpin, and Hardwick is in the way up front as well as he's trying to be lapped by Rowland and Walker and now by these duo. So you'll have to be careful. And Dave Robertson in the barriers in 14th position, now 15 for the Nissan GTR. He was a sole Nissan driver. It's going to be a retirement. I think he's trying to get it out, but that looks very beached by poor old Robertson. Martin Palm then still leads from Spogliarek. Maspero. Bennett has pulled away then from Nick Rowland and Ryan Walker, who are busy battling Jones and Reigns side by side. Martin Jones dives through for 7th position. Reigns. Oh no, sorry, it's back with Hardwick in the middle. Oscar getting involved there. Sorry, I'm getting all excitable over the slightest little thing. Can you tell I'm an excitable commentator as Reigns goes through and laps Hardwick? Hardwick needs to get out of the way. You're a lap down, mate. Sid Novus up to 9th now that he's passed Miles Dixon, who's in 10. Boy Vandelar from 11th from the pit lane in his Porsche 997. Great stuff. Then Bucelis is 12, Joseph 13, Jernstrom, Gardner, Petter Kassa 16th position, Brewster now 17, Hoekstra 18 has just got round James Ross. Dave Robertson has just retired from 20th, which has now been passed to Dave Carr-Smith. Lee McLaughlin's in the barriers in 21st position. Oh dear. And he's only just been in from trouble, and that's such a shame from what was a promising qualifying position. And then Hardwick and Guest. Guest is struggling to get out of the pit lane. What's happened to Guest? He's stopped at the pit lane lights. Not sure what the 24th position man is doing. I think he's just letting everyone go before he rejoins. So very gentlemanlike. Guest will now go and just try and get some mileage, I think. And at the rate of what people are dropping like flies, still get some good results by the end of this, to be fair. Palms extended his gap now on lap 5 of 38 to 1.1 seconds. Maspero still there 3 seconds back. Then Scott Bennett has pulled away from Rowland, who's now pulled away from Walker after all of that traffic. Martin Jones has pulled well away from Rightus Reigns too, but Sid Novus is having a lot of them. Miles Dixon being closed down by boy Van der Laar. Titus Bucelis, Paul Joseph, Jernstrom. Kassa's got round Paul Gardner for what is now 15th position. Rookie Hoekstra is up to the back of Cameron Brewster for 17th and 18th too. So plenty of squabbles going on. And some of the people who are a bit further up the front of the field normally try and get themselves back up to where they want to be. And Sid Novus round Reigns already there for 8th position. Great move into the final turn. The Toronto Sport Mobiles driver up to 8th position. Shame we didn't do anything for a livery. Never mind. Obviously all of the time and energy spent into actually getting a good car and setup. So, I'm sure it does stand out, Mr. Cameraman, but that's like saying my livery stood out. I meant them with love. They were just purple and yellow. That was the problem. So already then down to just 24 runners and riders. I forgot Marvin Amantz is going 2 laps down in the Pro Speed car. He's had more adventures than Lara Croft. As Rightus Reigns is off the track and rejoining in 11th position. What had happened to him? Was that an error on his own? Looks like it. Yeah, problems there at the top of the track. That's dropped him down to 11th position, so Vandelar now up into 10. And he's stalking down Miles Dixon quite happily. Nick Rowland is stalking down Scott Bennett too, so they're all starting to concertina back up again There's who's that? That's Muru that's just retired. Oh no, he was well gone. So yeah, some definite problems with James Ross absolutely mullering the barriers side by side. Hoekstra and Brewster for 17th and 18th position. Brewster giving Whoopke plenty of room. He's seen that Cookie Monster car in action before. In fact, Brewster giving him plenty of room. Hoekstra going back in for a second bite of slipstream. Will he have a go down into the final turn? He's having a lunge for it. Brewster, my goodness me. He's obviously playing the percentage long game there. Let's Hoekstra through and Cookie Monster's slipstream car up to 17th. Brewster down to 18th in the TSA car. Joseph and Casa side by side for 13th and 14th, and Casa goes through too for Torrent Motorsports, and Joseph down to 14th. Again, the wisest, most experienced GRCer, Paul Joseph. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He is a wily old soul. He won't be putting in that. Oh, Ryan Walker, 6th position, running out 2 wheels on the grass. That will allow Martin Jones, his teammate for Union Motorsport. Different liveries here today. You can see, doesn't matter if it's a teammate, they're still going to have a go. Dave Robertson's popped in the chat room and said, well, that didn't last long. No, it didn't, mate. Poor you, that was looking quite nice, nifty. We did like your livery though, that stands out. It's all a learn curve on lap 8 of 38. Walker runs out wide, Jones still stalking him down. 1.6 seconds the gap between Palmer and Spoljaric, so not a lot changing there. And what's happened to Jones? He's off in the final turn. That was a bizarre one because he'd got all the way out. Oh, a tank slapper, and round he goes. Just misses Sidnovas as he rejoins. Back again, that's Biselis going through, so Jones rejoins in 12th position. No, he's going to get Casa through and he drops down to 13th. And yeah, just a tank slapper on the exit of the curve, overcorrecting the car. Round she goes. It's a bit like me when I do salsa dancing. There's a wobble going on and sometimes you just can't control it. And yeah, that's not going to help at all for him as Nick Rowland catches onto the back of Scott Bennett. Under a second between them now. And Lee McLaughlin has crashed out from 23rd position. That's another one gone. They are dropping like flies. This is why I liked endurance racing, because I would never actually retire particularly, and so I could always pick up a juicy result. Yeah, McLaughlin suspension, lap 6 of 38 he'd done, and he's out. Scott Bennett goes defensive on Nick Rowland on the battle for 4th position. Peter Casa goes around the outside of Titus Biselis for 11th, 12th and 13th positions, with Jones going on as well. It's all kicking off here around the Donington circuit, and look at Casa and Biselis. Ooh, and Jones getting involved there as well. 3 cars around the Melbourne hairpin in very quick succession. Joseph keeping a watching brief as well, hoping that there's more pieces to be picked up. So he continues to pick up pieces like they're being thrown around at the rest of the race. He'll be having a whole mosaic. Jimmy Jernstrom facing the wrong way in 19th position. Oh, don't rejoin! Jesus Christ. Scaring me. Oh, Boy Vanderlap having a go at Miles Dixon for 8th and 9th position, side by side round the Crona curves. Never a good idea. Thankfully, Boy backed out of that. Miles doing an exceptional job in 8th position so far for Union Motorsport. Hopefully that will continue on with his newfound maturity that continues to show him grow and develop as a sim racing driver. Boy, of course, starting from the pit lane already up to 9th position, showing his class and determination so far. In just 9 laps. He's got up about 20 position. So, sorry, that was from the back row. Pit lane from the back row. Rightus reigns off the track. 11th position. Down he goes. Through goes Biselis. Through goes Jones. That was trying to defend Peter Casa going through, and he got a little bit hot-headed. And as a result, drops a clutch of position as Martin Jones has another go at Titus Biselis. Paul Joseph getting ever eager. Paul Gardner and Rookie Hoekstra side by side behind them in 15th and 16th positions. Hoekstra's going for the inside. Gardner doesn't even attempt to go back through again. I think Gardner's just delighted that he's racing competitively with people, as he's really shown an improvement thanks to this mod. Just 3.5 seconds off in practice. Oh, Rightus Reigns having a go in 12th position. Come back. He's almost in Ireland. My goodness me. So deep into that curve he went, and Jones just says, yoink, I'll have that place back, thank you very much. Nick Rowland's got past Scott Bennett while that's all been going on as well, and that was down into turn 1. He got round, and then Scott Bennett drives onto the grass because he's got nowhere to go. And yeah, Nick Rowland goes through. In fact, Scott Bennett doing a lot of driving over the curbs and onto the grass in order to keep up. That won't go down too well. As Rains is off the track again, having retaken Martin Jones for 12th and 13th position. And look at these two side by side, and Jones goes up the inside into the hairpin. And look at Rains, that's a great switcheroo back through again if he can pull that one off down into the Coppice curve. Goodness me. Jones holds it on around the outside. Some fantastic driving further down the field. Well, Joseph getting involved in that now, as we are on lap 11 and Range straight onto the back. That trajectory was only meant for fail. Who's that changing position? Boy Vandelar, Miles Dixon, 8th and 9th side by side. Boy's got for the inside into the second to last hairpin, and he's got it into the final one. Good move there by Boy. Miles knows when it's done. Drops down to 9th. He's got Peter Kazza just a few seconds further back, so he'll be under pressure again quite soon. The field continue round. Still some good battles going on, but Martin Parton leads away now by 2 seconds on lap 11 of 38 from teammate Bonus Boljaric. Mary Maspero is the only man that's kept with them in 3rd position, 3.7 off the leader. Nick Rowland's 18 seconds off the lead in 4th position, ahead of Scott Bennett. Ryan Walker is in 6th position, doing a fantastic job ahead of Martina Sidnovus, who is busy reeling him in. Boy Vandelar too is reeling them all in, ahead of Miles Dixon in 9 and Peter Kazza in 10th. Titus Biselis is now 11, ahead of Martin Jones, 12. Paul Joseph 13th. Ritus Rains has been off the track again and has dropped down to 14th, ahead of Whoopty Hoekstra in 15th in the Audi. Paul Gardner 16th has been closed down by Cameron Brewster for 17th. That's a battle that's about to take off very shortly, and James Ross is wheeling in the pair of them in 18th because they're starting to get themselves into battle. Very hard to keep up at a certain pace and still battle round this circuit, I find. Jimmy Jernstrom is still going in 19th. Dave Carr-Smith unlapped still in 20th position after his lap 3 pit stop. Of course, the pit stops here take over a minute, pretty much. Oh, who's that round? That's Boyd's round. Boyd's round in 10th position. That's not helped at all, and that's down into the final hairpin, all of his own accord as well. So down to 10th he goes. Through goes Dixon and Kassa, and Vandelar locking up into turn 1. Must be a little bit angry with himself. But yeah, Dave Carr-Smith unlapped. 1 minute 16 off the pace as round he goes, actually, now that I click on him. A quick 360 and he's back on his way. That won't do his tyres any good at all. So the TMO Osiris driver not helping out his cause. But yeah, still definitely, depending on how everyone else's pit stops is going to go, there's potential there for him to pop up and have a nice juicy position. Hardwick 1 lap down 21st, Guest 1 lap down 22nd, and Marvin Amance 3 laps down in 23rd, spinning round again. Marvin in a pro speed car really struggling, and he's very close to nearly hitting poor old Miles Dixon, who's just been passed by Petter Kassa for 7th and 8th position. And Oscar Hardwick's trying to unlap himself, and that could be a drama. In fact, look at Miles Dixon bouncing over the curbs. I think it might be easier just to let Hardwick go potentially there, Miles, because he's a little bit wrong placed, albeit lapped down, and that's always a problem sometimes. As Brewster and Gardner 16-17 side by side, and Gardner holds on round the outside. They've got Ritus Rains right up ahead as well, so Rains really struggling now to keep things going because he keeps making mistakes and dropping back through the field. And you can see James Ross just letting through Glenn Guest to unlap himself. And who's that spinning around as well? Someone else off the track. I think it was Biselis potentially. Yep. The field now starting to get themselves into clusters on lap 13 of 38. There's Martin Palm now 3.8 clear of Borna Spoljaric. That's all came very, very recently. Look at Aaron Maspero in the McLaren. He's keeping a very good watching brief as Sidnovus and Vandelar bashing wheels in 9th and 10th positions. Oh, flashing of lights by Boy. He wasn't impressed with that. Coming into the corner together, and Sidnovus getting it all a bit wonky, and dearie me, Boy Vandelar goes through. Sidnovus trying to do some kind of okey cokey down the straight, and Baselis is going to try and punish him for that one too. Oh, there's contact, and round they go. I can see that one coming. Hot-headedness from Sidnovus and Vandelar. And look at that flashing of lights, and I don't know what Boy's going to do because he's not rejoining properly. Teammates too, I can hear our cameraman extraordinaire having a drama as they try and get themselves back going again. I don't know if there's damage with wings or anything, but no, they're back going again in 13th and 14th positions. And yeah, Boy Vandelar smoking. Oh no! Round and round and round he out. He's on fire. My goodness me, Boy Vandelar out. Sidnovus out. Drama for the pair of them. TMO self-explodes from what was hot-headed drama, which all started with a move from Sidnovus that hit Vandelar, and they weren't happy. Bing, bang, bong. And that's no drama for him. Ryan Walker off the track in 6th position. That'll help out Scott Bennett because he was right. Well, they were side by side in 5th and 6th position earlier on. So out of the race then Sidnovus. Vandelar just needs to click out to retire. He's staying there for the time being. But Palm now leading by 3.6. Maspero 1.4 seconds further back. Rowland then 4, well clear of Bennett, Walker, and then Cassers slowly reeling them in. Busellis now up to 8th with Martin Jones doing a good job still in 9th. Miles Dixon and Paul Joseph battling over 10th and 11th positions. Again, they are teammates for Union Motorsports International. Let's see if they do the same kind of drama that TMO had. Hoekstra now up to 12th. Rains 13. Gardner in 14th. James Ross 15 has got round Cameron Brewster. So I'm not sure what's happened to Brewster, but he's dropped back a couple of positions. Jernstrom still unlapped, as is Dave Carr-Smith. And then we've just got Oscar Hardwick, Glenn Guest and Marvin Amantz, our final runners. Wow. What a right little collection of cars we have going on. People kind of spearing off now into 2x2s. With Ellis and Jones 8th and 9th at the top of those. Currently at the moment. Whilst the leaders play ball. Or Maspero is certainly keeping Spoljaric very, very honest indeed. Jones has to do for 8th position. Looks like he's got the pace. He slings one right up the inside. Oh, contact between the two. There just wasn't the room to go for it. So difficult around this Donington Park circuit to really take anything away or to take anything position away from anyone around some of these corners. Joseph and Dixon just behind, also looking similarly fraught. Just Reigns and Paul Gardner not too far apart actually, 13th and 14th. So all very much still to play for as Palm now 3.4 clear of Spoljaric on lap 16 of 38. Oh, Jernstrom stuck in the gravel in 18th position. What happened to him? Oh, just completely missed his braking altogether. As if he forgot to brake. Bizarre for the JJ Motorsports car making his debut. So his car now smoking as well. I feel that that could be a end of the day for him. As Paul Joseph having half a look at Dixon for 10th and 11th down into turn 1. Again, a lot of people will say, why have we got this sticky grass and sticky gravel? I like it because it means that actually, do you know what? You have a dodgy attempt at doing things, it all goes horribly wrong. It should really make you think. I'm all for it. Same as in real life racetracks as well. Do you know what? You make a mistake, you should be punished for it because the driver needs to be working at full 100% capacity to make sure that it doesn't make mistakes and lose concentration and so on and so forth. So There we go. So yeah, Genstrom out of the race from debut. That leaves us with now 20 drivers remaining. As Ryan Walker in 6th position is going to find himself in a very hot sandwich very shortly. He'd caught Scott Bennett once again. Peter Kaza, Torrent Motorsports, started on the back row of the grid. No, didn't, sorry, started from pit lane. Look at him now battling for a top 6th position. 32 seconds off the leaders. What would he have done if he had not started from pit lane and from pole position? This race would be completely different, as Walker getting a little bit unsettled. He knows that Kaza is faster. It's going to be a question of more when, not if, he can get through. Walker's determined not to make it easy. He's pulling out so that he can make sure he's got the inside line for the next corner, but actually that's going to just allow Kaza to go clean round the outside of him. Good move there by Kaza. Good defensive driving by Walker, but there's nothing that you can do when a car is that beautifully set up that it goes through. So Dodge passes the Aston Martin DBR. Next up for him is a fellow Dodge in the name of Scott Bennett. Just a second or so up the road. Bennett doing so well. Not really seen him about on GRC too much. Buselis and Jones still battling away for 8th and 9th as they were before, and Joseph and Dixon have now been caught by Whoopke Hoekstra to make that a 3-way for 10th position. So we are spoilt for choice, and in fact that is Jones going round Buselis round the outside in the S's for 8th position. Good move. Will Buselis have a go back down into the Melbourne hairpin? Well, there's a bear poo in the woods. Jones keeps it on round the outside. Good defensive driving there by Jones. Just about hugs the apex so that there's not enough room for him to have a good go through. And that's alright. And in the background is that Whoopke Hoekstra in the barriers. Yes, it is. 12th position, just losing it. Too heavy out of the Melbourne hairpin on the accelerator, and round he goes. Doesn't hit the barrier, but that's dropped him back from the battle between Dixon and Joseph. So all kicking off there, and Kaza now up to the back of Bennett too, having half a move, but actually Kaza makes a mistake in 6th position, and that's allowed Bennett to get away slightly. Still 3.7 the gap between Palm and Spoljaric as we approach half distance. So we'll see how it goes in terms of the strategy for them. Hardwick off the track in 18th, but still keeps his foot in and stays going in the race. Kaza continues to re-stalk Scott Bennett over 5th position. So your racing order so far as we hit half distance. Palm leads from Spoljaric, Aaron Sparrow 3rd, Nick Rowland 4th, Scott Bennett 5th and Peter Kaza 6th, the battle that you're watching at the moment as Bennett goes in deep. Kaza not quite so deep and continues to size him up. Ryan Walker, you can see just flashes of him in 7th position. Martin Jones has kept Buselis at bay for 8th and 9th, with Dixon still ahead. Kaza for 10th position. Paul Joseph 11, Hoekstra 12, Rightus Reigns is 13th, ahead of Cameron Brewster 14, James Ross in 15, Paul Gardner, excellent 16th, Dave Carr-Smith still unlapped in 17th, but now 1 minute 27 off the pace. And 1 lap down Oscar Hardwick and Glenn Guest. And 4 laps down now, Marvin Amantz having an absolutely torrid time out there for Pro Speed, but kudos to him, he's keeping it going. Just to the right of the way out to the edge of the curbs. So, very, very close there indeed for them. Having a look at anything further back. Marvin Amantz there, that is, just going very, very slowly, letting everyone through. I think he's hit the barrier again at some point and he's on his way back to the pits. There's Maspero right up to Spoljaric for the first time. Just 4 tenths between them. That's the closest they've been so far all race. Now this is where strategy starts to become involved slightly. Do you start trying to short shift a little bit so that you can change things? As Joseph and Dixon have swapped positions for 10th and 11th. Not sure what happened to Miles Dixon because that was he ran out wide. That's what happened, and Joseph got him before they got round to the S's. It's a good move there by them as Scott Bennett makes his first trip to the pits from what was 5th position. Frigo, Casa and Walker. It's a long minute stop, so that's going to be very telling indeed. So he's basically cutting the race in half. Let's look at Maspero on the back of Spoljaric. He's having half a look as they come out of Coppice and down the Dunlop Straight. Is he going to have a go into the Fogarty S's? He's taken a little peek out to have a go at 2nd position. Hoekstra's in the pits, I believe, as well. No, he's not. Sorry, that was just a change of position further back. And yeah, Maspero, he's not going to let Spoljaric off lightly. So Spoljaric is trying to short shift a little bit to try and save as much fuel as possible, because it's not so much tyres that are going to be the issue around here. It's going to be fuel that is very, very tight. And that is why boost 1 all the way needs to be. Now Scott Bennett has rejoined in 12th position. So that was a good move for him. Someone else is in the pits. James Ross is in the pits from 17th. So that's the 2nd man who's cutting the race in half. Spoljaric looking like a man a little bit under pressure there, a bit ragged. As Nick Rowland pops in from 4th position. So they are starting to come in. And Patakaza is through up into 4, Rowland's up into 5. Someone else I just saw there lighting up the tyres in the pit lane quite dramatically, as James Ross has just rejoined from the pits and has gone straight off. Well, that won't help at all. Well, the 20 remaining cars starting to play their hand strategically now. See exactly what goes on as Maspero continues to hound Spoljaric. Palm not in, I don't think, this time round. In fact, I think these guys will try and go as long as they can. The lead trio all go round again on lap 22. They start now of 38. No one else making a run for it. Nick Rowland rejoined in 13th position, right behind Cameron Brewster. So he's immediately come out into traffic, which he needs to dispose of quickly. He, of course, needs to do this because he's busy battling potentially with the likes of Casa later on, because Casa was closing him down over time. As who's that in? That is Casa in, actually, from P4, now 5, as Ryan Walker goes up into 4th position. He's going deep. Good on the Scott. Nothing wrong with going in deep. So we'll see what happens as Scott Bennett's coming into the final corner now. Petakaza's already going down the home straight. I think he may well have him as Dixon goes through, and Casa rejoins ahead of Wokstra. Amance is there, and then it's Bennett. So overall gain there for Petakaza as he rejoins in 9th. They've got the Cookie Monster racing car between them. Bennett then in 11 as Spoljaric and Maspero side by side. Maspero had a go into the Melbourne hairpin, didn't work. He's come out the other side in 2nd position. Spoljaric goes in a bit deep into the final curve. Spoljaric really under pressure here by Aaron Maspero, as they now drop 4.2 seconds off of Martin Palm. So that gap has actually reduced ever so slightly. I don't think Spoljaric can really afford to make too many more lockups like that on the mid of the corner, because it's allowing Maspero another good go side by, well, nose to tail, sorry, through the Craner curves up to the hairpin. Oh, Spoljaric looking a bit under pressure and a little bit leery, and Maspero taking the extreme curb line through, and that's actually drops him off. I think he was trying to do a do or die run through so he can have a lunge up into the cleans. Did not quite work for him as Spoljaric once again 2 wheels on the grass on the exit, looking a wee bit ragged. Scott Bennett's gone round a little bit in 11th position. That won't have helped him out at all. He made a bit of a mistake there, Trying to pop a lap on Marvin Amantz. He's round again, Scott Bennett, in the final curve. Oh, and he's got caught on the... Is he stuck on the curb? Yeah, he's beached it on the curb, between the curb and the barrier. Oh no, Scott Bennett from what was looking like an absolute corker of a race. And look at Maspero. Maspero is through on Spoljaric down into the final, the hairpin as well, as Maspero has a go at Spoljaric and he's through. Maspero in the McLaren takes second position. Spoljaric looking left and right. He wants to have a gun straight back through again. He's practically pushing Maspero into the final curve. No more of that TMO tactic, thank you very much. We've seen exactly what it does to your teammates. And look at that, he's flashing his lights. I don't know why. Maspero, that was a clean move. Borna, as right as Reigns is in the pits just as they pass through. So, oh, and that's Paul Gardner in trouble too. Gardner, who's ran an exceptional race so far in 14th position, in trouble as Reigns rejoins in 15th. So, I don't know if there's a previous problem there. So, and still Scott Bennett stuck but now retired from 16th position. What an absolute shame there for Scott Bennett. That was a classic drive. It's not worked out. Walker's gone round again as well. Yeah, Palm now leading 5.6 seconds. It's all playing into the hands of him as Rowland moves up to 11th position. He's got round Cameron Brewster, so that helps him out. Petakaza's just gone round the outside of Miles Dixon for 8th position into the final turn. That will do him lightly. So that will do for him up to 8th. And he's got a few seconds before he catches Paul Joseph, who's still yet to pit. So Palm, Maspero, Spoljaric and Walker, your top four, with Martin Jones now in 5th position. Cameron Brewster pits from 12th place, as does Whoopke Hoekstra actually, they're both in. So obviously someone's been sharing out their strategic plan for the day. As our 19 remaining drivers continue on. Martin Palm's in from the lead, Maspero takes it then. Spoljaric continues on, so that is really showing exactly for Martin Palm what's happened. But Palm, did he not take tyres? Because he's had a very, very quick stop. He's gone for fuel only. Other people have gone for tyres and fuel, so just an 11-second stop. That's good stuff there by Palm, thinking on feet. Everyone else has been taking tyres. He obviously feels comfortable with that. And he's back out again in a clear 3rd position. Ryan Walker still continuing round in what is now P4 on lap 25 of 38. 36 seconds off of our leader, with Jones and Buselis still at it hammer and tongs for 5 and 6. Neither of those pitting either. Paul Joseph 7, Casa, Dixon and Rowland your top 10 currently at the moment. 19 drivers still running. Marvin Amantz 5 laps down but still getting the job done on the black stuff when he's on it. So, strategy. Maspero and Spoljaric. Will you be pitting, my friends, or will you not be pitting? They've got 15 seconds. That is the question. Thank you, cameraman extraordinaire. Giggles. And yeah, Maspero into the pits. Very next round. So Spoljaric now out and going. See, yeah, Palm takes 2nd position. Maspero is still stationary. I think he's taking tyres. Oh dear, Maspero, that's not going to help at all, as Whoopke Hoekstra's just retired from the race and is out for Slipstream Cookie Monster. He's going again then in 3rd place. Did he mean to take tyres, I wonder? And he's going to be touch and go over between him and Ryan Walker actually, over 3rd position. No, Maspero's got it. You can see Ryan Walker just coming through in the background. Still in 4th place. So Spoljaric and Palm, the gap now 14.9 seconds. As Martin Jones pops in from what was 5th position, now down to 6th as Buselis, Joseph Acasa goes through. Dixon now through as well. So a real change around, and Martin Jones half battling with Nick Rowland potentially. Rowland already into the pit straight, going through quite happily. So he's now 9th position. And actually Jones is going to come out somewhere around Dave Carr-Smith, would you believe? In fact, Dave Carr-Smith will have him and pops into the top 10 for the first time since the very opening 3 laps, where he took that extremely early pit stop. So we're down to 18 runners and riders now, with Marvin Amant 6 laps down. And Spogliaric's just had to pop a lap on Martin Jones, which won't help him out at all. The gap between the leading duo exactly 15 seconds. Can he, and he being Borna Spogliaric, try and short shift as much as possible and cause as little drama as possible? James Ross causes his own drama down at the final corner and gets a little bit tail happy on the curbs as he battles with Cameron Brewster over 14 and 15. But can Borna basically try and limp it round as best as possible to not get, well, or to try and save as much fuel as possible and not pop into the pits? We will see on lap 27 now of 38. It's going to be tight. So, with seemingly the main wave of pit stops out the way, it's Spogliaric leading by 15.1 seconds now, so the gap's increasing. Over Martin Palm, the TMA Sim Skins 1 and 2. Aaron Maspero in 3rd position in his McLaren. Then Union Motorsports Internationals, Ryan Walker in the Aston Martin is 4th, just 4 seconds back. Titus Bucelis is now in 5th for Intrepid Racing in the Ferrari 458. Paul Joseph is in 6th position with Union Motorsport Audi R8. And he's got Peter Kazza all over him in the Dodge Viper for Torrent Motorsports. I've got a feeling that could be problems. Spogliaric's exiting the pits and he's behind Palm. Didn't see that one coming. So Borna into the pits, back out again. Palm takes the lead back. So that has solved that issue, or potential drama. Obviously it could not be done. Oh, and Kazza and Joseph smack into each other for 6th and 7th position. Oh my goodness me, I don't think Joseph will have wanted his back door being hit like that before. I don't think he'll take particular note of that, as Kazza looked like he was doing a repeat action. In my world, that's called breeding. But yeah, not good. Someone's in trouble. Who was that? Oh, I've lost them. But yeah, Kazza then up into 6th position. Joseph in 7th. So Miles Dixon then in 8th. Nick Rowland 9th. Dave Carr-Smith in 10th. Martin Jones in 11th. Paul Gardner 1 lap down in 12th position. By far the best that I've seen him race in a GRC race. Good on him for the Lotus. And Ritus Reigns, Cameron Brewster, James Ross, Oscar Hardwick and Glenn Guest all 1 lap down. And good on for Glenn Guest actually, because he's been silently doing some quite good times in that McLaren. It's just that he was lapped at the very beginning of the race, so he's struggled since. Marvin Amantz is 18th and 6 laps down, still going, showing the determination and grit of a sim racer. That'll do nicely. Your retirement so far: Tyrone Frith, Reino Muru, Ilja Bracalo, Dave Robertson, Lucas Gabrielaskis, Lee McLaughlin, Martina Sidnovas, Boy Vanderlaar, Jimmy Jernstrom, Scott Bennett and Whoopke Hoekstra, and that's James Ross round in 15th position, and I think he may be stuck on the curb. That was an attack on Cameron Brewster into the final curve. They were side by side, and James Ross just lost it round the outside. Has he been able to get going again, or is he stuck there? I think he may be stuck. Oh dear, the Mustang GT500 driver. He could do with a helpful hint from someone, as Bucelis is in the pits and dropping down the field, so that's not going to help him at all. And I think we may well have lost James Ross unless he switches off his engine and hopes someone taps him next time round. No, he's got going. He's reversed, he's got it going. James Ross, be careful. Yay! Good man, good man. Back going again in his 17th position, still only a lap down. The car slightly smoking, that will clear itself, he says, fingers crossed. So Martin Palm now just 1.3 seconds ahead of Borna Spogliaric. So overall, actually, that pit stop worked for Spogliaric because it's brought them closer. Sparrow, by taking tyres, is 20 seconds off. So that won't help at all for him. Ryan Walker still yet to pit. Is he going to do the daring no-stop tactic? It's working perfectly for him so far, but it'll only work perfectly for him if he's got enough gas to get him home. But he's still 15 seconds ahead of Casa, although that gap is reducing, and Joseph, Dixon, Roland, Bucelis and Smith, or Gar Smith, sorry. James just the last of the unlapped drivers. So closest battle out on track currently for P12 then, between Paul Gardner and Ritus Reigns. Who would have thought Paul Gardner would be busy battling over 12th position, 29 laps into a race. Giving himself a great account. He's very critical sometimes of how cars are not very good and they don't work for him. It looks like he may well have found one that does, although he's running out a wee bit wide there as Ritus Reigns, who's been up and down the order like a yo-yo. They come through and Ritus is going for a storm down. Oh dear, Paul Gardner backs out of it. I think he, flashing his lights, I'm not surprised. Ritus was doing a do or die move. And Paul Gardner doing well to get out of the way there, but there's not really a lot to say because Ritus, he thought it was his right of way. Getting a bit righteous as well, I'm sure. He needs to rein that one in because otherwise it's going to be drama for him, and that's why he's been off the track so many times in his Mustang GT500 car. So 12th for him, 13th for Gardner. He's still got the home straight between him and Cameron Brewster, so he's holding him off quite nicely because those two were together at one point. Problem they've got is that Oscar Hardwick and Glenn Guest are slowly reeling them in, so that could well be a very end of race battle between those two. And Nick Rowland's closing down Miles Dixon quite quickly too. There's only 2 seconds between those and they're getting closer and closer. So Nick Rowland has really lost out in this pit stop run because Dixon, Joseph and Walker have not done anything, and that's Marvin Amance once again off in the final corner. He's 6 laps down in the Pro Speed car. He's got into the pits. Poor guy. I tell you what though, he's not done too bad to keep himself going. I think I will give him a beer at the end of this one because I feel your pain with those kind of days when you just go, do you know what? I could have done anything. I could have put a chipmunk on the controller and it would have still came out the same result as Rowland all over the back of Dixon for 7th and 8th. It's really not worked out for him, his early stop, because it's left him in traffic. His stop was long. I'm assuming he was repairing some damage maybe or something. And now he's got the non-stoppers to try and negotiate on lap 32. The leaders are on now of 38. First up for him is Dixon. Dixon goes to the middle of the track. He's going to try and make it hard for Rowland as possible. He then goes in quite deep into the chicane and leave him a bit unsighted on the exit, and Rowland just does the old kick back and he'll try and have the inside for the Melbourne hairpin. Last of the late breakers will get this one, and Rowland is that. Covers the apex nicely. Dixon tries to mow the grass in an attempt to get the inside line back out again, but it's not worked out for him. And Rowland with fresher rubber. Just a general faster circuitry. Goes up into 7th. He's got 8 seconds before he catches up to Paul Joseph. And a further 16 to catch up to Ryan Walker, who's still yet to pit. So, and Rowland a bit leery actually on the exit of that curve, so Rowland may well only get as high up as 6th, depending on how other people deal, as Dave Carr-Smith's in the pits from 10th position. That won't help as Martin Jones moves up into that 10th position. Oh well, Dave Carr-Smith, it was looking so good earlier on, just a quick splash and dash. The kind of thing you pay a hooker for, but unfortunately that's only going to leave him still in 11th position, still unlapped. So he rejoins just ahead of Palm and Spoljaric. The gap between those two only a second now, as they start to get a little bit closer. The constant pendulum of toing and froing. Continues Wiki Hoaxer just sent me a message on Twitter saying not my day at all. Pace was there, but luck totally not on my side. Now we saw that. 3 times double downshift, and I got stuck on the curb because of that. So yes, don't fat finger your clutch. Because the moral of that story is Palmer and Spogliarek still separated by a second, and Carl Smith their next one up to be lapped. So hopefully Dave Carl Smith can get some pace on with his new rubber and keep out of that and stay on the lead lap. As Miles Dixon's in the pits, so he's pitted. Joining in 9th, is he? Yep, he'll get out before Martin Jones crosses the line, so that's a net gain for Dixon. Buselis up to 8, Rowland up to 7, who's busy being attacked by Oscar Hardwick. But he's a lap down. 10 seconds, the gap between Walker and Casa. That continues to go. I'm really impressed with Ryan Walker actually. He's only half a minute off our leaders. Doing a mighty job, and Aaron Maspero is time-wise actually closing down very, very, very slightly on Palmer and Spogliarek. But with his change to tyres, not really happened with him at all. And there you go, commentator's curse. Actually dropped back now. Marvin Amant's in more trouble. Down in the pro speed in 18th position, 7 laps down. At least he's kept himself out of everyone else's way. There we go. Maybe I should stop actually just saying how well people are doing. Because every time I mention them, they're having a drama. There's Walker there for having his drama down at turn 1 as he's popped a lap on Paul Gardner, who's got Brewster catching him back up again. Those two have toed and froed all evening. There's Rowland's round. He's down to P8. Oh dear, that's down at turn 1, isn't it? Yeah, got 2 wheels on the outside curb. Through goes Buselis. And Nick Rowland drops down to 8th position. He's got Intrepid Racing Car to do all over again, and Buselis isn't an easy man to pass. It's all fingers and thumbs, and Palmer and Spogliarek half a second between them now. On lap 35 of 38, and Spogliarek has half a go down into turn 1 from absolutely nowhere. Has Spogliarek just been biding his time, hoping that he can try and pick off Palm in the closing laps? Hoping that maybe he's turned his boost up or something like that, but he's absolutely throwing the car in. Neither of these drivers went for tyres. So Palm, more smoother Swede. Keeps it going. Something's changed position. Paul Joseph's off the track, that's why. Sorry, no, it's not Rowland. Buselis was off the track. Rowland's back through. And Buselis, I think, is in trouble. 8th position, but never mind. Palmer and Spogliarek at it with 4 to go. With 3 to go when they cross the line. It's down to the Melbourne hairpin. So close. And Buselis is in the pits from 8th position, so whatever drama that happened to him, that is going to absolutely ruin him, because Jones will go through and probably Carl Smith too. As yeah, indeed he does, as they go a lap down. And our leaders have got a man to lap. To turn 1, lap 36 to 38. Marvin, who's been an excellent back marker so far, he's got some. God, he's got so far out of the way. He's so scared to do anything with them. But he's kept out of the way. Well done, Marv. So, do you turn the boost up and risk your engine going? Go for glory, or do you hold it behind? There's been a change of position. Oh, it's Cameron Brewster off the track. He's stuck down at the curbs. He had a go at Gardner and has got himself half beached in the gravel. He's back going again, but Glenn Guest has got through a 14th position. Brewster rejoins in 15th then. It's a drama for him as Spoljaric once again into the slipstream as they come up to the same place that Brewster got it wrong, and he's having a go and Palm doesn't even fight it. Through goes Spoljaric. Palm submissively lets him through. Spoljaric takes the lead. He then pulls over to try and cover the line for the next corner. Very submissive there from Martin Palm as he goes through. Buselis off the track has just allowed Gardner and Guest up to 12th and 13th position off your screens. But yeah, I'm shocked at just how easy that was for Spoljaric. And immediately half a second gap over him and Palm with 2 to go. Maspero on his own in third, then Walker, Casa, Joseph, Rowlands. So Casa round Paul Joseph, and Walker has not pitted. Can he make it? Then Rowlands in 7, Jones 8, Dixon 9, Carr Smith is in 10, Ritus Reigns 11, then Paul Gardner, Glenn Guest, Titus Buselis, Cameron Brewster, James Ross, Oscar Hardwick now 2 laps adrift, Marvin Amantz 8 laps adrift, setting a new record. So yeah, you can see, just look at how Martin is really struggling. And he's dropped off already a second and a bit. I wonder if he's short-fueled himself or something like that. Got Cameraman Extraordinaire Simon Mellish whispering that in my ear, wondering whether maybe the numbers are slightly wrong for him and he's really having to coast it round. You can save fuel by obviously coming off the accelerator around some of these corners, not being so harsh on the brakes and just coasting through and something like that, but it's so submissive and he's just dropping right back. He's got 17 seconds between himself and Maspero. Be interesting to see whether he's going to go round for this final lap or duck into the pits maybe as Spoljaric starts the final lap of the race. And no, Palm is going round. Yeah, running at 2 seconds a lap slower than Spoljaric and 3.8 off his best. Something tells me that Palm has miscalculated something somewhere. Maspero then, Walker, Casa, Joseph, Rowlands, Jones, Dixon and Carr Smith, your top 10, and Carr Smith spun it in 10th position and that's going to put him a lap down. In fact, he's busy mowing the grass, he's got to try and get himself back going again. Indeed he does. Just behind our leading duo and ahead of Ritus Reigns by quite a long shot, so he's still going to keep a top 10 finish. Unfortunately not the distinguishing feature of being on the lead lap as Palm has dropped way off. So I think Mr. Cameraman Extraordinaire was right. He's got a fuel problem and he's limping it round. Spoljaric though is the man that's doing it. Apparently Palm is in 6th gear, so he's trying to use the least amount of revs as possible. He's got to be careful. Maspero is closing him down at the rate of knots. Spoljaric has got it covered though as he's limping around the last corner. In fact, he's going very slowly. Has Spoljaric done a similar thing, or is he teasing? As there's Palm and Maspero goes through. Palm is pulling almost to a halt and Spoljaric is not going very far either. Spoljaric's limping around the final corner. It's all going horribly wrong. Spoljaric has to pull out wide. Carr Smith unlaps himself. Can Spoljaric get the fumes across the line? Oh my goodness me. Marvin Amantz in the same problem. Spoljaric wins the race. My goodness me, gives me a heart attack in the process. I can't cope with this anymore. Torrent Motorsports wins for Spoljaric. Maspero grabs 2nd position. Martin Palm. Oh no, look at Ryan Walker. Ryan Walker's going round. The Scott's taking 3rd. He's flashing his lights. He's having a fit. Oh my goodness me. Petacazza's pushing Palm across the line for 4 and 5, but he'll say, actually, I'll have that, actually. Thank you very much. Yoink! 4th position for Petacazza. Palm limps it home in 5th. Oh dear, Martin. Ryan Walker on the podium. My goodness me. Union Motorsports and Ryan Walker will be absolutely loving that. Beers all round. There's some drama down at the final turn as well. There's some bodywork everywhere. I don't know if that's from Casa trying to push Palm round, actually, to be fair. Although we do think that one of the Shelby's got stuck somewhere as well, so I can see Brewster in a bit of trouble. But yeah, Spogliarek then wins from Aaron Maspero by 5 seconds. Ryan Walker grabs third. Petikasa 4. Martin Palm 5th position. Nick Rowland ends up 6th. Paul Joseph 7, just 3 seconds behind that. Martin Jones 8th after such a great showing early on. Miles Dixon an excellent 9th. He should be very pleased with that, as Dave Carr-Smith ends up 10th and unlapped as he crosses the line now. Deary me. Marvin Ament says, where can I cry? At least you finished, mate. Righteous Reigns 1 lap down in 11th. Paul Gardner a stunning 12th. Well done there in his token Lotus car. Glenn Guest 13th position on debut. Well done. Cameron Brewster 14th for TSA Racing. 15 James Ross ahead of Titus Bucelis, who had all that drama at the end. Oscar Hardwick 2 laps down in 17th position. Again, didn't quite come right for him. Marvin Amantz finishes 9 laps down. In the Pro Speed R retirements, Wipke Hoekstra, Scott Bennett, Jimmy Jernstrom, Boy Vanderlaar, Martina Sidnovus in that bizarre incident. Lee McLaughlin out early on after such a stunning qualifying session. Dave Robertson in the wall. Ilja Bacalo out with a disconnection, I think that was, or a crash of the game. Reino Muru out for TTFR. Tyrone Frith got as far as turn 1, and Lucas Gabrielaskis didn't even get to the grid. So lots of reaction going on. Marvin Ament saying, where can I cry? Ryan Walker doing cartwheels. Cameron apologising to Paul Gardner. Oscar Hardwick wanting to do various things. Ah, there we go. That's what happened there. Aaron Maspero forgot to turn damage off, it says there. So that's what caused him to have the long pit stop and take him out of the equation. That could have been his race. Instead, unless Borna was showboating with the fuel, we're never sure quite with Borna. Glenn Guest saying, when you're angry you should try some karting. Good stuff. Wow. There we go. What an absolutely classic trophy event there for GRC Season 13, showcasing a GT3 mod that we will probably be using for Season 14 with a collection of different cars, and quite obviously an awful lot of fantastic drama-filled action to be had for the season coming up that's going to be starting probably end of October, start of November time. Exact dates will be coming to you soon. You can sign up, of course, over at rfgrc.co.uk, or if you don't fancy actually signing up and joining in on the action, you are always more than welcome to come and join us on the broadcasting, where we've had the chat room with Kamikaze, Dave Robertson, James Cook, Carl Williams, and various other people popping in and out. And of course you can tweet me at Saturomon for a good old giggle as well. Unfortunately I've not had a chance to reply to most of the stuff here today, but I always love seeing exactly what you pop up on there. As ever, I'd like to thank cameraman extraordinaire and admin man Simon Melhuish. Without his octopus arms we would not be worthy, or able, or capable, or really doing anything at all. So, absolute pleasure as always. My name is Simon Smith. Thank you ever so much for joining us for the coverage today. I'm sure I will see you on the other side of a sim racing broadcast very, very soon. Take care, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday evening. Toodle pips.